part 1, you'll see here they talk about valuing inventories, and they have a classification there in terms of cost objects, behavior, there's estimations. There's a whole bunch of separate study units that focus on that specific area. Okay, so looking at inventory. So that's the first section that you'll obviously have to look at in terms of MAC2601. I just want to give you some context as well. Management accounting, how does that differ from financial accounting?
Are you asking me?
Yes, what is it?
Okay, so management accounting, so financial accounting, how I'll differ it is basically you doing all the financial costs, money coming in, money going out. You're not really focusing on the business side where the cost to make the products,
Good.
the cost, either the staff, the factory buildings. It's more in depth, I think, of a management side, whereas financial,
100%.
you're just doing the financial statements.
Yes, yeah. So, I mean, we did FAC a while back, but
And you know what?
if you go look at those notes, you'll see that there was a distinction between the two. Management accounting is internal reporting, and you're right, it's detailed, it's in-depth, it's looking at costs and other. Financial is more summarized, and it's looking at reporting to external parties.
Yes.
So there you're reporting to investors, shareholders, maybe government, depending. But yes, okay, so your background is good in terms of general understanding of this particular topic. You do just need to consider that management accounting is looking at the internal operations. So as you said, it's more detailed, it's more specific, and it's looking more at the decision making from a day-to-day running of the business point of view. So yeah, that's fine. So I think your context is good. That's definitely something that you need to understand in terms of how this particular course differs from financial accounting. Remember, financial accounting looks at reporting, so drawing up statements, creating journals, doing all of that process in terms of the accounting cycle. With this one, because it's management accounting, it's looking more at the business as a whole, and it's taking decision making into consideration. So here you'll be looking at things relating to costs, maybe returns. You'll be looking more at the day-to-day running of the business. What information will help us to better manage the business on a day-to-day basis? Okay, so obviously the first thing that a business needs to do is value and control and keep inventory on hand. Okay, because remember, what is inventory if you recall your accounting?
Oh, so inventory is your stock, your inventory, like your products or
inputs. So it could be stock. If we're producing goods, that could be something that we would look at. But inventory could also look at things like raw material.
Materials, yeah.
And the production process. So inventory doesn't always have to relate to things that we've bought. It could be stuff that we're going to create or manufacture. So production would be the focus here in terms of inventory. Inventory would be all the inputs that we would require in order to do something. Okay, so render a service or produce a product. Okay, so if we go look at the textbook, I'm just paging through the first chapter just to have a look at what content we've got there and just to check if there are any workings there or not. Okay, so remember I'm focusing my attention on anything that has a calculation. So I'm just going to page through study unit 1 and then cover any detail that relates to workings. Okay, so I can already see something here in terms of the cost classification and assigning cost to objects. So that's part of study unit 1. If you look at page 5, you'll see page 5 gives you a diagram there, and they break up the assigning of costs versus the allocation or classification of costs. Right, so what is the difference between assigning costs and classifying costs? Do you have an idea?
No, I don't think.
Okay,
no.
so let's highlight this word, assigning costs. Okay, so if I'm looking at a business, okay, remember, a business is going to have multiple different areas that will be required in order to operate. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay, so if I'm looking at any company, the company's sole purpose is obviously to operate and to create value. And they do that with the help of different departments. So can you think of different departments within an organization?
As in just in general departments.
Yes.
So there'll be a financial department, technical, HR.
Good.
Customer relation. Yeah, it's the same. I'd say.
Okay, you could even look at maybe more specific to inventory, maybe like procurement or production or sales.
Sales, yeah, sales.
Okay,
sales.
so procurement would be looking at the buying of goods and those resources or those inputs that are required for the business to actually operate. Right, so the business's goal is to obviously make a profit by creating value for customers, okay, for users of those products. Do you agree?
Yes.
Okay, so when businesses operate, their sole purpose is to identify the costs that are going to go into making a specific item or buying and selling a specific item, depending on what type of business we're in. Okay, so when we look at assigning costs, is the finance department going to need certain things to operate?
Yes, I'd say so.
Correct. Is the IT going to need certain things to operate?
Yes.
Yes. But remember, these are all separate businesses. Well, not businesses, separate departments within the business. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so if finance is one department and IT is another, HR is another department which is separate from all the other parts of the business, and all of these business units or areas in the business are going to have to operate together in order to generate a product or a service. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so the final product or service is going to be sold to the consumer. But now the big challenge is, how do we then price or assign costs to specific products? Right, and that's what we're looking at in terms of the assigning of costs. Okay, another word for describing that is cost allocation. Right, and you get different methods that allocate costs to different products, different outputs. So if I had to simplify management accounting, it would be looking at this. Input, getting output, or creating output, and then you've got the stuff in the middle, and that's the actual management accounting. Okay, so let me just put a heading here. Okay, input, and obviously we use certain things to produce certain products, services. Okay, so that's what management accounting is focusing on. It's looking at the company's ability to create value, to offer a product or service to the market, and in order to produce a profit, okay, in order to generate revenue, they need to sell those items, okay, i.e. those goods and services, at a profit, okay, at a markup. Right, so the first step when pricing goods is to establish its costs. That's the first step. Right, and that's what management accounting is looking at doing. It's managing the internal running of the business. Okay, so if I'm going to be using certain things to create certain products, in terms of inputs, I'm probably going to need the finance department. I'm probably going to need some IT. I'm probably going to need some HR, some people, right, etc., marketing, sales, all of that stuff. Right, so all of that's part of the input, and those are different departments that operate within the organization. Right, those departments are obviously going to incur costs. Do you agree?
Yes.
Okay, so those departments don't operate without requiring any resources. All of those departments need resources in order to operate, and those resources cost money. Okay, it costs the business resources in terms of their capital. Okay, so operating, creating value. Okay, they're going to be using capital.
Yes.
Okay, the funds within the organization. Right, so now if I'm going to be assigning costs, I'm going to have to be looking at those activities. Okay, all of those different areas, and I need to then decide on what is the best way to allocate or to assign those costs to those different products. And that's what you're looking at here in terms of this whole idea of cost allocation. Okay, assigning of costs.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, 100%.
Okay. Classification is looking at the behavior of those costs. Right, so let me just take one example. Finance, IT, HR. Obviously, all of them are going to need space. Do you agree?
Yes.
Okay, space would be seen as rent. Okay, we're either going to be renting space or we're going to be buying a building and we're going to be using the space in order to operate. Right, but now if I look at the classification, okay, but specific to costs. Right, when I deal with classification of costs, here I'm not looking at how do I assign the costs. Here I'm looking at how do those costs behave. So do those costs change or do they stay the same? So we get fixed costs, we get variable costs, we get costs that can change or costs that don't change. Okay, so you do get semi-variable, you get semi-fixed. Okay, that's what the diagram is trying to show you in the actual textbook. Okay, on the first page, page 5.
Yeah.
Right, they've shown you that classification. Right, but now we don't only classify costs in terms of fixed and variable. We can also take it a step further and we can look at specific costs related to production. Okay, and there you're looking at things like direct material, direct labor, manufacturing overheads. Okay, I'm just abbreviating, okay, just to show it. It's in the textbook. That's just theory.
Yes.
All right, so it's important to have an idea of what that actually looks at, because it's difficult to do workings if you're not fully understanding what the basics are in terms of this whole idea of allocation.
Right.
Okay, is that making sense?
Yes.
Okay,
100%.
great. Right, so that's important to take away from this particular chapter. All right, if I page through the rest of the chapter, they've just given you details here regarding direct costs, indirect costs, manufacturing, non-manufacturing. Okay, that's all theory.
So yeah, direct. Yeah, so I know. I do know things. I do know that direct materials and direct labor, manufacturing overheads is total manufacturing costs, and
Sure.
I know, like for example, direct labor and plus manufacturing overheads is conversion costs.
Yes.
So yeah, I do. I think I did summarize like a whole 2 pages of that.
Okay, perfect. So that section you're fine with. I don't have to spend too much time on it.
Yeah, no, that I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Okay, 100%.
So,
All right, something that was covered in study unit 1 that applies later on, which is something to consider. So just a note here, page 11. All right, they've given you a small example here looking at fixed costs per unit. Okay, the reason why I want to highlight this point for you is because when you look at later calculations, ones that are a bit more, let's say, longer, in B, you have to look at individual basis or bases. I don't know if that makes sense. A base.
I understand what you're saying though. I do understand.
Okay, so the base will either be units, or it could be time, or it could be, let's say, labor hours. Okay, so time is labor hours, or manufacturing hours. Labor hours, manufacturing hours.
Could it be, for example, machine hours?
Machine hours, correct. All of those, yeah. All right, so that's something that you need to consider because that's part of other calculations. So when you look at something basic like what they've given you here on page 11, right, the thing to take away from page 11 is that you can take something that's fixed or something that's aggregated. Okay, so in other words, a total. So you could take a total for a specific cost. Okay, so here they've looked at all the fixed costs. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay, and what have they done here? Well, they've taken the total. So fixed cost could be rent, expense.
Yeah.
That could be a possible fixed cost that a company would have on a month-to-month basis that they would have to cover as part of the operations. Okay, so maybe if I just use the amount that's given in your textbook, 15,000, okay? This would be the fixed cost per month that is going to be incurred as a whole in terms of the business, in terms of the operations. Okay, so now obviously, depending on our output, okay, it comes back to what we said here. See, input, output. So the input here would be, inverted commas, rent, expense. Okay, the output is obviously going to be the number of units produced.
Yeah, sure.
Do you agree?
Yes.
Right, so now the challenge is the middle part. Okay, that's what you're actually looking at when dealing with management accounting. You're looking at the cost allocation or the assigning of cost to certain products. So, if I look at this example, if I've got 15,000 Rand per month, and let's say I produce 100 units. Okay, in terms of a basis for allocating those costs, those fixed costs, I'm going to be using 15,000 divided by 100, which is 150 Rand per unit. Right, and that'll have to be built into the cost price of that particular item if you're going to be pricing it based on this method.
Okay, that makes sense.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, so I did look at the example for 200. So it would be your rent, that's the fixed cost per unit. To include the rent, it would be the rent divided by however many units produced. So if it was 75 divided by 75, and that's how much it is per unit.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm just using this as an example because here they used per unit, but it can be per labor hour or per machine hour. It all depends on the question, but you do need to consider that. That's important to understand for later on. Okay, so just a note, NB,
yeah,
you need to look for those drivers. They call them cost drivers.
Yes, cost drivers.
Okay, because those drivers will basically allocate more or less cost towards a specific item depending on the operations. Okay, so that's something to note in terms of basics, right? Okay, happy with that?
Happy, yes.
Great. Okay, so let's carry on paging through the module or paging through the textbook just to see if there's anything specific that I need to look at here in terms of workings. I think the rest just looks like theory. Okay, I see period cost. Okay, then the summary. Have you been doing these self-assessment questions? Hey, Matthew?
So no, I actually haven't because I was focusing on also auditing, which is auditing and tax took up quite a bit of my time.
Sure.
And I was late, so I've just been trying to do as much as I can, a bit of just to get back on track.
Yes, 100%. Okay, so the nice thing about these self-assessment activities is that they actually give you workings, and UNISA has done a pretty good job of explaining the workings in the actual solution. So, I mean, I'm not going to go through all of these because it'll take too much time. So I would suggest if you are struggling with something specific, we can always discuss it next week if you have anything specific that you've looked at that you've struggled with.
Cool. So I'll go, obviously, after today. I mean, I'm going to 100% study before the next time we have a Skype call. So whatever I'm struggling with throughout that till the next week, I'll just write it on a piece of paper.
Make a note, yes.
And then we can just go straight into that.
100%. That's brilliant. Yeah. So today I'm going to just give you kind of like a crash course of all the workings, all the calculations, and all the important sections. And then over the week, I think do that. Look at what you've covered and look at specific things that you've identified as areas that you need more help with, and then I can focus more time on that rather than focusing on things that you already know.
Yeah, correct. No, that's I will do it. Yeah.
All right, perfect. All right, so looking at this, you already mentioned earlier that you're familiar with prime cost, conversion cost, manufacturing cost. It's just grouping costs into different categories so that you can total it up in order to get an amount that you can then allocate.
Yes, yeah. So I've got a good
unit one.
Good summary, yeah. So prime cost and primary cost is direct material plus direct labor. Yeah, so I think I've got that all. Yeah.
You got that. Okay,
yeah,
so I'm just going to summarize here at the top. Study unit 1, important. It's just looking at classifications of costs. Classification of costs. And then why is that important? For allocation later on.
Yeah, and that would be the cost drivers. And looking
yes,
at
but that's a bit later. But as long as you've got the classification right, then you should be able to allocate it correctly, depending on what they've given you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's cover study unit 2. Let's have a look at that one. Let's do the same thing. Okay, so study unit 2 starts on page 20. Here they're looking at linear equations. Okay, there are some workings here that you need to be familiar with. So I'm going to summarize a bit of this. Matthew, how much maths did you do before going to UNISA?
So I did maths literacy at school, but I mean, I think, can I be honest with you? I think during school I was very lazy. So I thought, let me just try the easier way out and do maths lit. But I mean, if I can do it, I did DSC.
Yes. Which one did you do? 1520?
No, 1630.
1630. Yeah. Okay. DSC 1630 is financial mathematics. That's looking at using the calculator to do time value of money.
Correct. Yes. I think that's pretty much basically the most intense maths I've done.
Okay, but that maths is different to algebra and linear equations and that type of thing. So that's why I'm asking, because if you did DSC 1520, this one is the inverted commas, the pure maths module. Okay, so you said you did DSC 1630. 1630 is just time value of money, basically. It's financial mathematics.
Financial maths, yes, financial maths. It was just, yes.
Yeah, okay, so if you've done that one, great. You haven't done this one, right? The pure maths.
No, I haven't. But I mean, I can just, I'm sure I can type it in onto Google and get like notes from somewhere and just go over it. But I mean, with maths, I mean, if I do it now, I mean, I'm more mature than what I was. So I think I can click or just do a bit of practice and get it.
Yeah, well, I'm going to summarize it because you wanted to cover calculations. There are calculations here because they talk about simple linear regression here and the least squares method. So if you're wanting workings, this is the first part of the workings.
Okay.
Right. Have you gone through this chapter in any detail?
Not too much detail. I just know the different methods and maybe not all the high, low, and all that stuff.
Okay, don't stress. Let's look at it. It's a short chapter. There's not much to cover here, but the basics are important because it's fundamentals that are carried through later on. Because remember, chapter 2 is only giving you a technique, okay, a way of estimating a specific slope, okay, or a line. All right, so let's look at this, and then I can explain what this actually looks at. Okay, so this is definitely a calculation, okay, in terms of workings. Right, you'll see here in the textbook they've given you an equation. Right, I'm going to give you this equation, which you might even recognize perhaps, depending on how much of your maths at school you can remember. Y equals mx plus c. Does that ring any bells?
No,
Not really.
So but I could probably attempt to understand what it would mean.
Okay, yeah. So y is the independent the dependent variable. Okay, x is the independent variable, and then you've got an m, which is the slope of a particular line, right, a straight line, and then you've got c, which is the y-intercept. Okay, so when you look at linear equations, linear means straight line. So we're looking at something that looks similar to this. Okay, so I'm going to draw a quick little sketch here. Right, so we've got a y-axis and we've got an x-axis. Okay, X is the horizontal.
Yeah. Y is the vertical.
And Y is the vertical. Right, and then you'll have a line that can be drawn, which is a straight line, which can represent something. Okay, remember, maths can be applied in different areas. So in this particular area, we're applying it to management accounting. Okay, we're using it in order to predict costs and to allocate costs and to measure costs. Right, so just to draw a line, the line would look like that. Okay, just to add what we've identified here. Right, the slope of the line would be this, the actual line that's going up. Okay, so M here is positive because it's sloping up. Right, you can have M that's negative. If M is negative, then it's going to be sloping down. So you get a positive and a negative slope. So if I had to draw two lines, the one would look like that in terms of positive, and this one would be negative, and it'll be sloping downwards. Okay, so that's important to understand in terms of the gradient, okay, the slope. If M is positive, it's upward sloping. If it's negative, it's downward sloping.
Yeah, right.
C is the y-intercept. Okay, so the y-intercept is basically where these lines touch the y-axis. Okay, so if I had to draw a little dot here, okay, that dot represents the y-intercept. This dot represents the y-intercept. Okay, it's the point at which the line touches the y-axis. Does that make sense?
Yes, 100%.
Okay. X is independent. If something is independent, it means you can substitute a number into it. So, when looking at equations, okay, this y equals mx plus c is an equation. The left-hand side must equal the right-hand side. Okay, so what this equation says is, if I've got the slope of a line, and I know what the x value is, because remember, we are at different points on this line. So if I know what x is, let's say I'm looking at x here, and let's say x equals 5. Okay, if x equals 5, that x5 is going to have a corresponding y value. Do you agree?
Yes.
Okay, because that's how we plot points on a graph. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so in order to plot that point on the graph, I need some value of x. Once I've got the value of x, I can substitute that into the equation and I can get y. So let's assume y equals, let's just say 2x plus 5, just to keep it simple.
Okay.
Right, if I had to substitute x equals 5 into this equation, I'll have y equals 2 times 5 plus 5, which is 15. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I just want to ask, where did that, sorry, you said y equals 2x. Y equals 2x.
Plus 5. This is just the formula that I'm giving you.
Oh, okay. So with the, okay. So the m would, so that you're just saying m is equal to 2. Just it's just a formula.
Yeah, it's just an example. I'm just giving you a formula to use. Yes.
Okay. So I thought, okay. No, that's fine. Perfect.
Okay. Yeah, it is possible to work out the m, but we'll only look at that a bit later.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm just describing what the x and the y has in terms of relationship.
Okay.
Okay. So do you understand that? Can you picture that? Like, have a look.
Yeah.
If x is 5, what is y going to be?
X is 5. So y so would y be 15?
Yes. Okay. And then you would have 15 here where this line is. Does that make sense?
Yes. So you would basically draw it where it was, where you've drawn it on that line. Would be So 15.
Yeah, it will be there.
Okay.
Okay, I'm just writing it here.
Yeah, no, that's fine. No, that's fine. So yeah, no, that's cool. That's fine. No, cool.
All right.
Perfect.
Okay, so just remember that when you look at straight lines, linear equations have different components. Okay, that's the one equation that we need to study and we need to learn. Okay, obviously the textbook gives it to you in a slightly different format. Okay, the textbook gives it to you in this format. They give it to you as y equals a plus bx. That's what they give you.
Okay. So
Right,
then,
so the a is representing the y-intercept. Okay, the b is representing the slope,
slope, yeah.
which
So
is basically the m from your mx plus c.
okay.
Yeah, so I've just given you this because at school they would have talked about that formula. That's what they give you at school.
Yeah.
Right, this is what they give you at university because this is looking at linear regression. Right, and linear regression can be done on the calculator using the stats function.
That's okay. So I've got a financial calculator, and I've just got the Casio Natural V.P.A.M.
Is that a normal scientific?
Scientific, yes.
Yeah, that's perfect. Scientific, the Casios are very good. So if you've got the financial as well as the scientific, then that's good. What financial do you have? Is it HP or Sharp?
HP2B plus or HP2B plus or something.
Okay, yeah, it's the HP. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, HP is fine. You can use any financial calculator. You probably will use it later on, but not right now.
Yeah, no, you see, I got it for DSC. I got it.
Yes. DSC is a very good module, the 1630. That's a great module for doing financial maths. And if you can remember that one, they would have covered linear regression there as well, because there is a stats component part of that module.
Yeah, no, I do. I remember that.
Okay, great. Okay, so that helps a lot if you know how to use the calculator's stats function. Okay, everything happy so far?
Yes, very happy.
Okay, we need to write down an equation for m, which is the slope. Okay, so if I don't have m, I can actually solve for m. Right, when solving for m, you need a fraction. Okay, so I'm just going to draw a line here, just so I can show the numerator and the denominator. Okay, when working out m, you're going to need y2 minus y1, okay, over x2 minus x1. Right, and that's just the formula that's used to work out the slope of a particular line. Right, and you can see they explain that in terms of that high-low method. Right, high-low means you're going to look at the point that's higher and you're going to compare it to the point that's lower. Right, you need 2 points.
Yeah. Okay. I think I did this also in ECS. Would that be economics? With the work?
ECS, yeah, economics, they cover supply and demand and that straight line. So yeah, it would be similar.
Okay. Yeah. So it would be like it's new minus old or old minus new over old minus new.
Kind of. It's similar but not quite, because this is looking at points on a graph, not looking at old or new. That's like indices and stuff like that. That's not what we're looking at here. But similar.
Sure.
Okay. Right, so you need 2 points to calculate the slope of the line. And once you've got those 2 points, you can actually calculate it. Okay, so let's see, there's an example here. Yeah, there is one. On page 21, the activity here at the bottom of the page says during the 6 months ended June, these costs changed, but did not in a direct relation to the volume. Okay, so you can see there you've got month January, February, March, all the way to June. You've got the number of units produced, and you've got the historical costs. Right, are those units and costs going to be perfect in reality?
No.
No, they won't. Alright, so the reason why you have a scattered diagram is because when I look at this, let me copy this down here, okay. Right, in business, you keep track of different observations. Okay, in this particular example, on page 22, right, they've looked at the units produced and they're comparing it to the historical cost, so the cost. That's what they're looking at. Okay, so again, remember, anything that's observed is data. Data is just a collection of numbers that you can then represent on a graph. Okay, we can take numbers and we can do mathematics and we can present it appropriately. So if I look at units produced, let's put units produced on this axis. Okay, units produced, another word for that could be volume, could be output, could be just units. Okay, production. Alright, so obviously you've got an x-axis, and then on the left we have the cost. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
With me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. If I look at this diagram, right, you can see that if you look at the number of units produced, the smallest number here is 95, and then the biggest number here is 106. And then you've got historical costs, which range between 1,950 all the way up until 2,060. Do you agree? Matthew, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay. Right, so what do you see there? You see different points. So if I had to plot those points will be on the actual diagram, and they might look like this. Scattered. Does that make sense?
Yeah, not a perfect straight line.
Correct. Okay, so you would have covered something similar in DSC 1630, where they gave you like a scattered diagram, and then you would have had to find the formula of the straight line. But a line that best covers all of those points. If I had to draw a line, that line would be a pretty good estimate.
Yeah.
Of where we would expect those observations to be. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
Okay, and that's what you're looking at here. And that's what linear regression looks at doing. Okay, linear regression, straight lines. It's looking at creating a graph that's an estimate, a best fitting line that can give us what we think we'll get if I have an idea of how much units are produced. So if I can substitute the units produced into the formula, the y equals a plus bx, I'm then going to be able to identify the costs, right? Because remember, x is the units produced. So if I substitute x in using the m, which is the slope, as well as the constant, which is a, which is the y-intercept, I'm going to get the corresponding cost for that particular item. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay, and that's what you're looking at in this particular chapter. Right, so you said you're capable of calculating A and B on your Casio, your scientific calculator.
Yeah, so I can it is downstairs. Can I just quickly run and go get it?
Yeah, of course. Go get the calculator, and then we can do the working for the A and B for linear regression.
Okay, I'm coming back now.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I've got it, yeah.
Okay. Which calculator did you bring? Did you bring the financial, or did you bring the scientific, or both?
No, so the scientific one was like near me, but I bought the financial one.
Okay, that's fine. That's good. You can use either or. You can do the stats calculation on the normal scientific, or if you prefer, you can use the financial calculator, which is the one that you would have probably used when you did DSC.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm just showing what they've got here: volume and then costs. Okay, so obviously you've got observations. 4,000, 3,000, 2,400, 4,400, 2,000, 3,600, and 2,200. Okay, then the costs, you've got 23,000, 18, 16, 24, 11, 23, and 15. Alright, so now the challenge is, can you get this? Y equals A plus BX. Okay, what does that represent? It represents a line that best fits those observations. Do you agree?
Yes.
Okay. Right, so which calculator are you going to use? Do you need help working it out, or do you want to try?
You see, I can try. I do remember there is a mode where you can just go set up in the Casio calculator.
Yes.
And you can
Yeah, so on the Casio, Matthew, what type of Casio do you have?
Okay. Can you show a video?
No, I want to bring a picture up so I can see what buttons you have.
Oh, okay. So it's the Casio, and then on the top corner, the model is the FX-82 ZA Plus. Yes, correct. Okay, you got it. Cool. Yes, that one. That one exactly there. That picture. That first one. Yes.
Okay, I just want to blow up the picture a bit bigger so then I can see what buttons you can press.
Okay, sure. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, there's your calculator. Let me just see where the stats mode is.
Press shift. I think isn't it? Shift?
There's stats. Do you see it? There, on number 1.
Okay, so do I just press shift and then number 1?
Okay, so if you press shift 1, then you should get a stats like menu on the screen.
Yeah, it says result format, math 0, line 0. Or is that?
We're looking at linear regression, so choose line.
Line, okay. 2. I press 2, okay.
And then what does it show you on the screen?
Just shows a normal screen.
Normal screen. Okay, let me try on this other Casio of mine. Let me just check here if I press stats menu. Let me just see what comes up.
Okay, well, I pressed it again. I pressed shift and then I pressed in shift setup. I pressed line IO. And then it just shows a 0 at the bottom.
Okay, no, you should get a menu. Let me just see what other buttons you've got here. Okay. Do you see mode here at the top?
Mode, yes.
Okay, click that button.
Yes. Then press 2, stat mode. Okay, yeah, and then I get 1 equals variable cost, or VAR.
1 minus VAR.
1 minus VAR,
and
yes.
And then A plus BX.
Number 2, A plus BX, correct.
Good. Okay, so that's the right option. So on your calculator, you need to click this mode button.
Okay, mode, just straight mode.
Yeah, and then you go into that option, then you can choose the second option, that A plus BX one.
Yeah, so I'll write that down. So it's mode, and then number 2, and then
you should see a column X and a column Y on your screen.
Yes, got X and I got Y.
Okay, then can you go back to this? Can you type in those things as is? So the first one is 4,000 for X.
Okay.
2,200 for Y.
4,000 for X. So when I press 4,000, must I just press the right button on the calculator on that little menu?
I think you should probably press equals, and I think it inserts it.
Oh yeah, it inserts it. Okay. And then must I just do all the X values and then the Y values?
Yeah, do all the X then, and then do all the Y. But make sure the right X goes with the right Y.
Yeah. No. Sure.
Okay. Do that quick.
Okay. 2, 4, 4, 4, 2, 3, 6, 2, 2. Okay. Let's go 1. So it's 2, 3. Okay, got it.
You got all of them in?
Yes.
Okay, so now let's just go back to that page. Okay, so, alright, so now you've typed everything into the calculator. Did you press equals on the last one. So everything's inserted. You can press these arrow up and down and you can see all the values, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, great. So now that you've done that, okay, press AC.
AC.
And then press Shift Stat. Shift number 1.
Shift 1.
And then you should get a menu.
Yes, on the menu.
Okay, what menu items do you see?
I see 1 type, 2 data, 3 summary, 4 VAR, 5 regression, 6 min-max.
Okay, regression.
We're going number 5, okay. Then, then it goes number 1A, 2B, 3R,
Good.
4, and there's a symbol, and 5 is another symbol.
100%, yeah. So you just want A and B. So choose A and then press equals. What do you get?
So must I press 1 and then equals?
What do you get?
So I press 1 and then equals, hey?
Well, choose the A and then it should bring up.
Bring up 29,2958.785.
Correct. That's the same answer as the one on page 26.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear this. Let's have a look. 26. Oh, there, yeah. 2958. Okay.
Do you see how they got that?
Yes, alright.
Okay, so, but now remember, your textbook does it the long way because they show the table to calculate it. In the exam, you can use your calculator because you'll have it. Doing it the table method takes too long.
Yeah.
Okay, you're not going to square all these things times all of it and all of that. It's just too much.
Yes, right.
Okay, so you must know how to use the calculator to get the right answer. Okay, so then do that again. Go Shift Stat and then choose regression and then choose B. And
Okay.
what do you get for B?
I get 2958, same answer.
No, go back. Do it again.
Oh,
B, not A.
I push B and then I press equals. Oh, B is 5.
Yes, that's right.
It's 5. Okay.
5.06.
Equals 5.0. Yeah, 5.059, 5.06. Yes.
Yeah, correct. So you can see where the textbook got those answers from. Makes sense.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So they put the whole. Do they put the whole thing in? Oh no, they just. I think they round off.
They probably round off in the textbook. Probably, yes. Looks like they did.
Yeah, but okay.
Okay. But now, do you agree? You've got A, you've got B. Do you agree?
Yes.
Okay, so what can you do now? You can just rewrite that formula in the correct format. Does that make sense?
Yes. So So it would be your y-intercept is equal to 2958 plus, and then it would be 5.06x. Yeah.
100%.
Well, it is plus. Yes, it's plus.
Okay. Happy with that section?
Yes.
All right, and that's section 2.
So then, I didn't write down the steps of the calculator, so it will just be mode, stats, and then I would just put all
Okay, redo, Matthew. Okay, let's do one. Let me check for another one. Okay, here's one. Do the one on page 29. Okay, let's practice. Go page 29.
Oh, okay, this whole big one here.
Yeah, put that into the table, and let's see if you can get the A and the B, but on the calculator. Don't draw a table to do this.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna do X. Okay, so number of bags manufactured would be X, and then the overheads, the cost would obviously be the Y slope. Yeah. So 360. Oh no, wait, it's 360. 375. Okay, let's get to number 1 on the Y.
So remember, it's the mode button first, eh?
Yeah. Oh, okay. And then so then I just quickly forgot that to do it. You pressed the AC.
Okay, hold on. What did you do? Did you type in all these values?
Yes, I typed in all the values.
Okay, and then all the values, and the last one you press equals. Then you can scroll up and down and look at them, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, so after that, yes. Then you press AC, and then you press Shift.
And then number. Yes, and then we want to look for number 5, and then we're going to go number 1, and then we're going to say equals number 1 equals 86.88.
Let's check in the textbook. What did you say A was?
I said 86.88.
Let's see what they've got here. They've got 868.
868.
Did you put in all the values correctly?
Yeah, let me just go back and let me
do it on my calculator and see. I think I can actually work it out here. Let me check if I can do it on Excel. A equals just check your calculation. I think something went wrong.
Yeah, let me just go. Oh, I think I just cancelled everything. Oh no, I didn't. How would you go back to that table?
To go back to the table, you need to go back into the mode. So mode again.
Oh, mode, and then you just say, table 3. Okay. I know.
No, A plus BX.
Oh, okay. Shift. Okay. Oh, yeah, I think I just cancelled the whole thing, but I'll do it again. Is it the one on 28 or 29?
Which one?
29. No, it was the right one we were doing, page 29.
Page 29, yes. Yeah, so, okay, quickly do it. Let's just check. I'm going to do it on my calculator. Let's just see what we get. Okay, so stats mode. Okay, so I've put everything in AC. I'm going to solve for.
So then, and then after you push AC, you press Shift Stat, hey?
After you press AC, Shift Stat. Yeah, Stat. Shift number 1 on your calculator.
Then number 5. Regression.
Yeah, then choose A. Okay, yes, I actually get the same thing. I get 86.88, 183,137. That's what I get on my calculator for A.
Okay, for A, I've got 87.501 now.
No, it should be the same. I think your numbers aren't right.
Maybe I've just put in an extra 1 or something.
But if I look at the answer, number of bags manufactured, let's have a look. Maybe these bags were grouped into tens. Let's just check. Is there anything here? No, just number of bags. A is 86, yeah. Because if you look at their answer, they've got 868. Their decimal's incorrect. Do you see that?
Yeah.
I think they might have made a typo, an error with the working here.
Yeah.
Okay, because they've got this in your textbook. They've got 868, comma 824. Right. So I think they've made a mistake with the number, the decimal.
Just the decimal.
Yeah, just the decimal, but the number looks right. Okay, let's quickly solve for B. Shift stats.
Okay, shift stats.
B, I get 0.3.
0.3. Same.
Yes. Okay. So B here, 0.3104949. 218, that was for B. Okay, so that was for B here. And B in this particular question, they said use the scatter diagram to calculate the budgeted semi-variable manufacturing overheads if $385 were manufactured. $385 were manufactured. So you have to substitute that back into the equation. They've shown you the high-low. Okay, that's just the gradient. They've worked up the total budgeted semi-variable cost. That's fine. Okay, then they've got the least squares method, and then they've got the A and the B at the bottom here. Substitute the values in. Let's see. This was for how many units? Total budgeted variable semi-variable manufacturing overheads for 120 bags per month. Okay, so that they didn't mention in the question. They mentioned in the question, but it's not on the table. Do you see that?
Yeah. No,
just look at question B. There's a part that we're missing. In the question, they say 120 bags manufactured. See, use the least squares method to calculate the budgeted semi-annual manufacturing overheads if 120 bags are manufactured. Right, so if we're buying 120 bags, then we're looking at the number of bags manufactured. This is the estimate that we've got currently in terms of data. So we've got an A and we've got a B. Then they're replacing B with that 9 Rand 31 because they've done this equation here, this Y equals X and Y equals for the simultaneous equation on the second page. Yeah, this is actually a longer question. It's not a one-step question where you just work out the A and the B.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, but let's see if there's a different one. No, these are the only two examples that they've given you. Question 1.
It's fine. I definitely can go over it. I mean, I've got a vague understanding now of the first part. So
Matthew, we've looked at this page 29. If you look at page 28, 28 is the one that you get those other measures.
So A and B.
Yeah, because the A and B is for the other one. See? Do you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so quickly do this one. Just type it into the calculator. 120, 130, 125, 115.
Oh wait, I just want to get out of stat mode.
Just reset the calculator or clear it, and then type it in again.
Cool.
Do you know how to reset the calculator?
Yeah. So I've done. Yeah, I did it. Thanks.
Yeah, so these are the right numbers that we need to put in for the right question.
Can you just move your cursor from the second? Is that a 0? Is it 2000?
It's 2000, sorry.
No problem.
Okay. There we go. Okay, right answers. I'm getting it.
Yeah, okay. So I've got 868 for the first one.
Perfect. Yeah, so we were just reading the answer for the wrong question. It was question 1, not 2.
Oh, okay. So, okay, makes sense.
Okay, so A here is 868.18 83137 ...
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
No,
and
that
then
makes sense
if we
now.
just go shift stat menu 7B solve, yeah, you get the 9.31. It is correct. The textbook's right. Nothing wrong with the book.
Yeah, 9.31. Also got that.
Okay, good. Okay, happy with this?
Yes, happy. Very
Great. Okay, so anything linear regression related, just grab the calculator, do the workings, and solve for the correct variable.
Yeah, mate, that's fine.
Okay, study unit 3, cost, volume, profit. More graphs, but now we're looking at the costs on a specific diagram. Okay, do they give you diagrams here? No, I don't see the diagrams, but they do give you break-even point. Okay, so break-even point is a calculation. It's a formula that you need to know when doing calculations relating to fixed costs and the contribution that you're going to be deriving from the sale of a particular unit. Right, so the formula that I use here for break-even point in units is as follows. Fixed costs divided by, let's get the, where's that denominator line? There's it. Copy. Okay, so it's fixed cost over selling price, SP, minus variable cost, VC. Okay, so that's the formula for break-even point in units. Right, you'll see in the textbook, they talk about a contribution per unit. Contribution per unit is just referring to what I wrote there. It's just a fancy way of describing that.
Okay, so like just the selling price minus the variable cost.
Yes, but it's per unit.
Okay.
Right, that's why it's contribution per unit. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right, you've got a formula that looks very similar on page 37. Okay, break-even point, total fixed cost divided by the contribution per unit. Just remember the contribution per unit is that. Selling price minus variable cost. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so that's the formula. If you want break-even point in rands, BEP, brackets in rands, in sales volume, sales revenue. Okay, you don't have to learn a new equation. All you have to do is just take the break-even point bracket in units and just multiply it by the selling price. Right, you'll get the same answer. So those are the two equations that you need for this particular section.
Okay.
Okay, got that?
Yes.
All right, let's do an example. I'm looking at activity 3.4 on page 39.
Okay, yes, I see it.
Okay, so I'm not going to work out all of it. It's quite a long exercise. I'm just going to work out the first one, the break-even point, and then we can look at the rands and the value. Is that okay?
That's fine. Yes.
All right, so I'm going to show you how to use this formula. Copy-paste. Okay, the first thing I need to work out is the fixed cost. Do they give me the fixed cost in this particular question? Yes, they do. They tell me that the fixed costs are only for manufacturing overheads. Do you see that?
Yes, of 200,000.
Yeah, they've given you an extract of the internal accounting of the business. 200,000 is correct. Right, so you would have 200,000 at the top here. And you'll divide that by selling price minus variable cost. Do they give that to you?
Variable cost.
Selling price, I see. Do you see it?
Yeah.
How much is it?
Selling. It's 20 rand.
Good. Okay, variable cost they don't give you, right? So you need to work it out.
Yeah.
Total variable costs.
So would it be cost with like that the 120?
Yeah, divided by the units.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So the total variable costs were. What's the total variable? We need to add it up.
Yeah. So. 360.
Agreed. Divide by for 40,000. Okay, gives you unit variable cost. $9. Did you get the same answer?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so 20 minus 9, okay, is in the denominator. Solve for the break-even point in units. $200,000 divided by open brackets 20 minus 9, close brackets, you get that. Is that okay?
Yes, yeah, that's right, yes.
Alright, it should be the same as what they've got in their textbook. Let's check their textbook and see if it's right. Let's have a look. Break-even point in sales units, the total fixed cost. Okay, I see they've included an extra 60,000. Did I miss 60,000 here? Oh, yes I did. Read the question carefully. I didn't look at the selling and admin. Do you see that?
Okay, yes.
Okay, just
selling
be careful.
And
yeah, just read the question carefully. I made a mistake with the fixed cost. We needed to include the selling and admin. There were two. I was just looking at the first part of the question, not the second part.
No,
okay, I think the variable cost needs to change as well because it's 40,000 for the selling and admin.
Yes.
Okay, so we need to adjust that as well. So we need to show another amount here, plus 40. Okay, let's update this working. Okay, gives you 400,000. 400,000 divided by 40 is 10. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we can substitute that in. So we need to change the 9 to a 10. And then we'll get 260,000 divided by 20 minus 10 gives you 26,000 units. Okay, that's in line with textbook. Happy with what they've got.
Yes.
Okay, right, and then we just need to write down that in Rand value. Then you just take your units and you multiply it by the selling price. It's as easy as that.
And then you get, that will be the Rand value.
Happy with that?
Yes. So
okay,
500.
So 520,000 Rand in terms of the break-even point. Makes sense?
Yes, 100%.
Perfect. Okay, and that's this chapter. Right, that's cost, volume, profit. There's a lot of activities here. So as I said, please try them. See how they go. And then if you have specific questions that you need me to go over with you in detail, we can look at it next week.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm even after we're done, I'm going to go for maybe another 2 hours, 3 hours after.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do see something else here in the textbook for study unit 3. I see they've given you a note here about margin of safety.
There, margin of safety.
Okay, let's write down the formula for that. Okay, so when you look at margin of safety, just to summarize the theory, is basically looking at the additional amount that you have that's above break even. Okay, so think of the word safety. Right, we've got more than we actually need.
Yeah.
Okay, so margin of safety as a formula, we can use the one here, these ones are fine. Total sales in units minus break-even point in units, right, all divided by the total sales.
So you would work out the margin of safety after you've worked out
break-even.
100%. Okay.
You have to have break-even before you can work out the margin of safety, because margin of safety is calculated based on the break-even points.
Okay.
That's right. Okay. Let's just see what else they've given you here. Okay, target profit analysis. Those are just equations relating to what you should be aiming for. It's the same as break-even point, but the only thing different here is, see, have a look. What does break-even point say? Well, break-even point basically says I make 0 profit, so plus 0. Do you agree?
Yeah, because that's where your profits actually match your expenditure. So
Correct.
you have
your profit is 0. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right. So now you can change the ratio. You can give it a different name, but it's the same thing. It's basically just called a target. Okay, sales target.
Okay.
Right. And what is the sales target going to be? Well, the sales target is just going to be your fixed costs plus whatever profit you're wanting. See, that's the only thing different. Right, so it's basically just the break-even formula, but instead of 0, you're adding a specific amount. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay, here break-even point has 0 profit. That's why I add 0.
Okay. And then that's all, yeah, you're adding an estimate amount.
Yeah, because you want a target, you don't want the break-even. Okay, that's more maths than management accounting. It's just 2 different formulas, but it's using the same basis.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Right, I see they have given you a diagram. I'm just showing the break-even point, which is great. Just look at the theory on page 45. Okay, see diagram.
Okay.
That just explains what we were talking about earlier in terms of break-even. Maybe just to summarize, break-even point, BEP, is when total revenue equals total costs. That's basically what break-even is representing. Make sense?
Yes, 100%.
Okay, and then you've got a summary, and then you've got some additional exercises that you can make use of just to practice that specific section. But in terms of theory, that's what they're covering there. Is that okay?
Yeah, no, I'll definitely go over all of that.
Yeah,
I'll
just
go over all
let me know if you want to go over specific sections in more detail, or if you want me to expand on anything specific that we've looked at in this particular chapter.
Sure.
Okay.
So my plan is I'm going to try do pretty much, I know it can't be done in a week, but I'm going to try do as much as I can. I want to try finish it.
Sure.
So at least I know the whole module and I can say, right, I need with this, and
Yes.
then and maybe that stuff I can. Yeah.
Correct. Good.